Well, good morning to everybody. I hope everybody is alive and well and you are happy, you are joyful on today, and that you are still in love with Jesus. Now listen, I got to do this. Y'all know I had to do it. This is my first book. Shameless plug. But I've got to say something about this book because you have to go get this book. It is not heavy on the budget. You can pick this book up at Amazon for $10. You can get it at Kindle for $7 if you like reading off of a tablet or a phone or a laptop. So you can get it in electronically. But this is my first book. It is a good book. It is called While Men Slept. It's a book on spiritual warfare. And I did this book because I was given so many challenges. I don't know if I was given, I adopted, I don't know what happened, but somehow or another, there was a lot of things that happened in my life and I wanted to figure it all out. And so what I discovered was that spiritual warfare is a direct link, and not a link by proxy, not indirect. It is directly connected to why things happen to us that affect us in a negative way. It is also the reason why things happen to us that affect us in a very positive way, in a welcoming way. But in this particular case, because my call and challenge is to identify problems, I also identify, the beauty of God. But most of us, when we look at where we live in a very problematic state. Because either we're dealing with health issues, we're dealing with poverty, we're dealing with issues on our job, we're dealing with family issues, we're dealing with government issues, political issues. We've got all types of things like that. So we have more gripes than we do things that we can clap about, we can cheer about. So I try to address and counter those areas to help us to understand and to mitigate, to eradicate those areas. And so what I discovered was, even with my own life, because I've been challenged in health realms, I've been challenged in marriage, I've been challenged on the job. I've lost my job, when I was working for somebody 3, maybe 4 times. I had to start all over again, bankrupt. I've been left for dead. I've had physical health challenges that my medical record is this thick, and for all practical purposes, I live in a body that is unlivable. So when you have all that and you look back over your life, you try to find answers, right? Because now you're searching for life and how can I live? Now let me say this before I get going too far into this. I do want to say that when I talk about these things and I talk about myself and I talk about the challenges that I've had, the health problems, MS and all that, whether it be kidney problems, prostate problems, heart problems, skin problems, whatever it is. These are things that I talk about not to say something's wrong with me. Okay, I'm saying that because it got kind of misconstrued. The last time I made a post on Facebook and people thought that I was sick because I posted a picture of my hand and I was showing my hand, but it was a hand in reflection, in retrospect. I was giving God praise and thanks because I remember when I could not move my hands adequately. And so I was sitting at the table one day and I had a thought. And with that thought, it took me into a place of praise. Had nothing to do with where I am currently. And I don't know what it is. Maybe I say whatever I say poorly or what, but it was not conveyed or interpreted right to some. And some folks thought that, I'm going through some type of sickness. No, I am not. In fact, I want to talk a little bit about that today because what God has done for me. We're going to talk about grace today. What God has done for me is he's allowed me to walk with whatever the doctors have diagnosed me with, whatever ailments that I have. And I walk in this or with this with a measure of grace that supersedes most people that don't have no health problems whatsoever. That becomes the difference. That's when I talk about God blesses us autonomously and we don't even know. So when I say when you eat food, I am so thankful that I can eat food and I can ingest it, meaning I can swallow it, that my system can digest it, because my exposure in life, watching people in nursing homes and this, that, and the other for many years, it has shown me that everybody does not have the latitude to be blessed in that way. Their esophagus does not work. Their limbs do not work. And so when I say these things, I'm saying that as a point of reflection for you to look to God and say, Lord, I am so grateful. But when you look at it autonomously means that God is so good that you forget to remember to give him thanks, because you think that whatever is happening to you is supposed to happen to you. I'm coming to you from a perspective that it ain't supposed to happen to you, and God could just take that from you just like that. But for me, I give God gratitude, and there's a different type of thanks that I give to him every day, because every day it's before me that I may not be able to walk. I may not be able to talk. I may not be able to do this or be able to do that because of what God has brought me out of. So the enemy is always trying to attach himself to my past. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about God's grace in that sense. But spiritually, we have to understand that whatever we are going through, it is first spiritual, then it is physical, or in the natural. I know some people say natural then spiritual, but it's not. It's spiritual then natural. God birthed us out of nothing. It was spirit. God is spirit. If you're going to worship him, you worship him in spirit and in truth. So we evolve out of nothing. God said to the universe that we live in, he says, let there be, and there became. Let there be light, and there was light. And then he talked about the different types of lights, and there they were, the sun and moon, the stars, and all that. When he created the earth out of nothing, the earth had dust to it. And out of the dust, he created man out of that. But it was out of nothing, then something came. So even though that the first part of us was dust, so you can say that the dust was man, it was something. Before it was dust, it was nothing. So God is calling us from spirit into the natural is my point. That being said, the enemy has been around for a long time, and so he knows that the spirit is first and foremost. And so the operation, if he can connect to us from a spiritual standpoint, then the battle is fought. The battle is won in his perspective, in his view, his mind, because most of us don't know Ephesians 6 and 12, and we don't stand on it. It has not become the fabric to our soul. So the enemy, he knows that we don't know that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. And so if you don't know that and you're dealing with something, you don't know the root cause of it. And the root cause of it will come from while men slept. And so when I say and give it this title and say while men slept, what I'm saying in essence is that not that men slept as going to sleep. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that men slept on their awareness. They slept on the word of God. They slept on knowing God. They slept on a relationship. They slept on a revelation. They slept on an atmosphere that was trying to wreak havoc in their lives. That's what they slept on. And so when the enemy knows that you are asleep, not just literal sleep, because that plays a part in it. In the 8 watches that this book deals with, it gets into the different time zones that we literally go to sleep, and how the enemy can come in and sniff you out because you're literally sleeping. And there's certain hours of the day where he's more active than other hours of the day. But anyway, so it is so imperative in my purview, my estimation, that we understand the spiritual aspects of what happens when a man is sleeping. So the enemy comes in and he steals you from a spiritual perspective. You realize it from a natural perspective, but what's happened to you in the spirit realm, you are not aware of. He came in, he sowed tares. He sowed tares. This is where you'll find this in Matthew 13. He sowed tares amongst the wheat, or amongst God's people. And when God's people realized that something has happened to me, they did not realize what it was. A lot of us don't realize what it was because we don't know about spiritual warfare. We have not grown deep enough or high enough in Jesus, in his word. We have not been in a relationship to the point to where we know how to counter the enemy. And so this book, While Men Sleep, it deals with that. And so a lot of what we are experiencing today, what our children are experiencing today, the health problems that we are experiencing today, the poverty issues that we are experiencing today, relationship issues that we are experiencing today, just so many things that we are experiencing today, it stems from, the root cause is a spiritual connection. It is what the enemy had planned for your life. Okay, what he had planned for your parents' life and for your grandparents' life, and it goes all the way back through the bloodline. So there's covenants that have to be recognized, and then they have to be undone, untangled, broken. Curses that have to be recognized, uncursed, undone, broken. But none of this stuff will happen if you don't come into a saving knowledge, if you don't walk close enough with Jesus in order for you to know. And so you have a lot of Christians today that are defeated in their faith because they have such a limited and shallow understanding of their claim to fame, or, so to speak, their claim to Christendom. So we carry the banner, but we don't know the power of the banner because we have such a shallow view. Our lens is just not, it's so narrow. We need to broaden that lens up. So shameless plug, I want you to go out and get this book. Again, Amazon, $10. Kindle, that's for electronic version of it. You can get it for $7. It is going to bless you. I promise you. It has helped me to get to be healed, to be delivered, and to be set free. And that is not only in the past, but it's also in the present, and it will also be in the future. It's like when you say, I am saved. Just because you are saved does not mean that saved works everything out. I am saved, I am being saved, and I will be saved, meaning that there's a continuation, because there's so many different aspects of our being that we need to be saved from, that we need to be healed from, delivered from. So one deliverance does not necessarily satisfy all the deliverance that you need. You remember about those that Jesus healed that were lepers, and it was 10. He said, was not there 10? And where are the rest of them at? One came back. So although they got healed, what they needed was to be whole. And we really need to talk about that, because a lot of people want to be healed. And listen, maybe we just need to segue into it. They want to be healed without being whole. A healing does not help you if there's no wholeness that is associated with it. What we're missing today is a wholeness instead of a healing. We focus on healing, but we need to be focused on the wholeness. And the wholeness comes out of you coming back and surrendering, you paying obeisance, you falling before the Lord and Jesus, your Savior, and saying, Lord, I thank you for what you have done for me and with me, and what you're going to continue to do with me. And if it wasn't for you, then I would not be nothing. And so at that point, then God continues to do things on your behalf. Conversely, those other 9 that went on with their healing, who's to say that they continue to walk in healing? Because without a wholeness, you don't even know how to keep the healing that God gives you, because you're not whole. And there's so much that we can say about this. In the book, While Men Slept, there's an area in there that I deal with in one of the watches. And this is the watch that God sends the angel of the Lord to come and deal with a crisis that Jacob is in. And the angel of the Lord comes just before the break of day, And I don't want to give you all of it because it's in my book, and I've also taught it in my series. I want you to go to my series, and I want you to listen to the series over again and do it in conjunction with this particular book. So I won't tell you about the first watch, the second watch, or the third watch. They are all very unique and very powerful, but you need to understand that, and you need to understand why did God visit Jacob at this particular watch at the breaking of day. And it was at that point to where God gave Jacob a healing that he needed, but with the healing came a wholeness. And some of us would push back on that because you would say, well, Jacob wasn't really healed because he walked away from that experience, that interaction with the angel of the Lord, and he walked away with a limp. And that's kind of what I want to talk about just a little bit, because some of you look at my life and you say, I always talk about me being healed, but it's more than me being healed. It's me being whole, because my healing now is in the revelation and the understanding that I'm whole. And so healing to me does not necessarily look like how I was born. You know, when I was 5 years old, I didn't have no problems. My brain was healthy. My physical state was healthy and all that stuff. Well, to me, healing looks different now because I'm wiser. I'm more knowledgeable. I have a different perspective and a different revelation. So when I say I'm healed now, I'm saying I'm healed from a different place. But also in that, what I'm also saying is that in my healing, you won't be able to detect that something was ever wrong with me, which makes it even more beautiful, because a lot of us, we walk around and you can still see the sickness on an individual. Most people that interact with me, you know, I've built, I don't know how many houses with these hands right here. These are the hands that the enemy attacked. This is the body that the enemy attacked. These legs, the enemy attacked. This brain, the enemy attacked. But at the same time, with all that he did try to do to me and with me, every trap, every pit hole, every snare that he did, it was always brought back to me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. It may be formed, but it won't prosper. Even with that, I was thrown into the furnace, but when I came out the furnace, and every time I'm thrown in the furnace and I come out the furnace, you can't smell the smoke. You can't see the smoke. You can't see the burns. You can't see anything. Well, in fact, when you look at me, I looked just as good or better than those that have never seen a flame. So this is the difference now. So when we look at Jacob had a encounter with the angel of the Lord, but he had an encounter because he needed to be made whole. Jacob was a supplanter. Jacob was a trickster. And so what God did for Jacob, you know, your father, Jacob, you know, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, your God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the one that you esteem so much often. You know, you will lift Jacob up, but you will say, well, you know, Donnie this and Donnie that, or you'll get it confused, say he's sick. No, you gotta hear in the spirit. You gotta hear. I'm giving a testimony. I'm testifying to the greatness and the goodness of God, to his grace, to his mercy. That's what I'm doing. And if you're not tuned, you miss it. You just miss it. Anyway, so Jacob had to be delivered. He had to be made whole. And so he wrestled with the angel of the Lord at a certain cycle of the night, a certain watch of the night, a certain time of the night. And there was a lot of things that went on while they were wrestling together. And Jacob had made his mind up, because he says, listen, I am determined, and I'm not going to let go. We say of your unchanging hand, but he says that I'm not going to let you go until you do for me what is necessary to be done in my life. And because of that, his name got changed from Jacob to Israel. And he got a new character. He was transformed from one person to another person, from one character to another character. And God did it just like that. And at this place, the Bible says that he called this place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and he has He has preserved my life. Seeing God face to face didn't kill me. And I know a lot of people say if you see God face to face, it will kill you, but it won't kill you if God is doing something to you in his presence, doing something for you in his presence. And so while he was in the confinements, the shield of the angel of the Lord, God worked through the angel of the Lord to work a miracle in his life and to eradicate that sickness that he had. After that, Jacob walked in a newness of life. And so, he called that place Peniel, for I've seen God face to face. That's where my ministry name came from. Face to Face Ministries is because Genesis 32 became a mantra in my life, because although I was called to the ministry and called to preach and all that, I had a lot of problems, and I had to be healed. I had to be delivered. I had to be set free. And I got to a place years ago to where I did like Jacob. I'm a supplanter. I'm a monster. I'm this, I'm that. Although I'm God's man, I'm the God. I was Jacob, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? Donnie was Jacob. And so God did that metamorphosis in my soul. And so that's why I named this platform Face to Face Ministries. I want to talk just real quickly though, and do another little table talk with you. I got my parchment right here. I got my parchment, and just real quick, we doing table talk, and but I want to talk about this healing piece, and I want to talk about the healing. I want to talk about a grace healing. Let me even write that down, because God is even talking to me. A grace healing. Because see, a lot of times I'll do this stuff and I don't know what I'm going to do from minute to minute. And as you guys are hearing, I'm hearing as well. In 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, Paul takes note of something. And this really is a segue from what we've already shared today. And Paul was at an intersection in his life. And he says these words in verse number 1, 2 Corinthians 12th chapter, verse number 1. He says, boasting is necessary, though it is not profitable, but I will go on to visions and revelations of the Lord. Now, this is, I don't like, which one is this? This is NASB Bible. It's just one Bible that I got a whole lot of Bibles. But, and this is good, but the King James Version has a deeper punch to it. If you get a chance, go and read 2 Corinthians 12, and you can read 12, 1 through maybe 10. But anyway, let me just give you an abbreviated version. What Paul was saying here was that I knew a man, and I'm saying this because I want to bring out this health piece and how I am healed and I am whole, and what happened and what is happening to me, and how you can benefit from my book and how you can benefit from my life. So Paul has a very interesting situation here. He says, I knew a man some 14 years ago. And, he's basically talking about himself, but he's talking about his alter ego. Let's just say it that way. But he's actually his spirit. His spirit was caught up in the third heavens. It was caught up with God. And while it was there with God, he says, whether in the body or out of the body, he says, I don't know. He says, and while I was there, he says, I got revelations. He says, I got revelations that I cannot even utter, revelations that is too large, too big. It's beyond me. And so God showed him things that God had not revealed to the average person, to a normal person, to above average and normal person. And so his point was this. He was like, God has given me so much revelation. And he says, as a result of this, he says, I've been also given a thorn. The enemy has been allowed to come and buffet me. And I know a lot of people think that the thorn that Paul had was an eye problem, some type of health problem. But the scripture clearly says that it was a thorn because of his revelation. That's what the scripture said. It was a thorn that was given to him because of the revelation that he had. And that the thorn was a buffer. It was something to keep him in check. This is one of the reasons why, and I've said that I've prayed to God, like Paul did three times. I've prayed way more than that. And God still never took some of the things away from me. And so now I embrace what God has done, has allowed the enemy to do in my life, because even though he does it to me, he tries to get the best, but I always come out as pure gold. I always come out and you can't smell the smoke. So if, just like in Paul's situation, if I didn't have these things to remind me, if I didn't have these things to buffet me, to bring me back into a reality, then if I'm doing all the things that I'm doing now with a body that some doctors have said is an unlivable body, I can go on. And some of the, I can go on with my health history and just let you be the judge of it. A lot of things I don't even talk about. And then to still be able to achieve the things that I have accomplished and achieved. What manner of man would I be if I didn't have nothing wrong? Paul talks here. He says that I could boast, but I won't boast. He says, but even though, he says, if I did boast, he said it would be all right because I got something to boast about. Now, Paul's saying it, y'all say it's okay. But if I say it, then, oh, there you go. He conceded. But no, you trade places with me. And it's okay. I'll let you come in and be in this body that I have, going from the 11th and 12th grade, a world-class athlete, scholarships all over the country in track, a body that just wouldn't quit, all that to all of a sudden going from 100 to a 0 real quick. Now, you take all that and still, from an achievement standpoint, I go through a hellacious divorce. Hellacious. That's in another book. Can't even talk about all the stuff that was experienced. Not my fault. I ain't putting the blame on nobody. But I'm just saying it was horrible. Did you hear me? Horrible. Sickness, just a body of health to no health at all. Couldn't walk. It just everything. Heart problems, heart attack, kidney malfunction, liver problems, prostate problems in my later ages, all that kind of stuff. But I still built at least 20 houses, rehab houses, some by myself, nobody helping me, by myself. People walked out on me. When things were at its worst, I remember rehabbing one of my properties when I had gutted the whole thing, and I had plaster up to my knee, and it was plaster all over the house. I had to hand shovel that out with a wheelbarrow. I did it all by myself, the whole house. I had like 3 or 4 guys working with me. They all quit. And then after I got it all out, I put the drywall in. I did the electrical, re-put the bones in there. Bones is the framing, all that stuff. Put brand new windows in the whole house, all that. Then everybody started to trickle back in. And then they wanted to come back in. No, you can't come back in. I can do the rest of this stuff by myself. I'm just giving you an example. All this while I was working in corporate America. I was driving from Cleveland to Mansfield at least 4 to 5 days a week, working a full-time job, still doing ministry work, okay? Still trying to help people at church as much as I could at church, do all that stuff. Still going to school, continued in school for an additional 13 years, continued to climb, got 4 degrees. This was while all this was going on, right? All this stuff is happening to me. Body is just going crazy, just in and out of hospitals, this, that, and the other. All this stuff was going on, and I'm praying to God, Lord, take this away from me. And God says, my grace is sufficient. I just wanted to share that with you so you can kind of have a baseline of where Paul was at and how I can walk and validate and say that I understand what he's talking about, when a lot of people say, well, you wouldn't know. The Bible calls us walking, living epistles. Oh, I know. I promise you I know. And so today, people look at me and they say, well, you sound like you're a little conceited, and you go out and you talk about your cars that you buy and your trips that you go on and all this stuff. Let me tell you something. The hell that I have seen all my life, a designer name is not too good for me. A designer car, a supercar is not too good. 2 houses, 3 houses, it's not too much, because I don't know how long my life will be. And Paul talks about life. Is it Paul or Peter? One of them talks about life as a vapor. I want to make the best out of that vapor that I can. Now, don't get mad at me, because with all the stuff, the enemy then try to take me out daily. Don't get mad at me, because with a bad body, I still become an overachiever and a more than conqueror with a bad body. Okay. And some that would push back and talk about me, that don't have no problems, ain't never had a heart arrhythmia, ain't never had a heart attack, ain't never had no holes in their brain, don't have no problem getting up in the morning, don't have to get one foot out of the bed and then think about it before they get the other foot out of the bed, and then unlock your body and all that all kind of things. Ain't never had an attack where God showed me how to deal with demonology and demons, spiritual warfare at night, when the enemy would come in and lock my body up from 3 o'clock in the morning, that I would stay in one position on my feet until 6 o'clock in the morning. They never had no problem like that. And this will go on for years. Okay, no medication that can stop it. You can take medication, but it don't do no good. And then you have to get to the place to where if God don't keep the city won't be kept. And I said that became a mantra of mine for a long time. And sometimes people wonder, where do he get this stuff from? That's where I get it from, because I get to the point to where I say, God, if you don't keep me, I ain't but dust anyway. And so I ain't gonna be here no way. Medication can't keep me. Only God's goodness, only God's touch, only God's hand can keep me. So I walk by faith. I really walk by faith every day. And so it is a grace healing that is given to me. But it also comes with wholeness. So I'm walking with healing that may not be readily understood from a scientific standpoint. A doctor may not be able to go in and measure and say, well, we don't see MS no more. We don't see this. And my health book or chart it won't shrink to this. Maybe that won't happen. But faith, I'm looking at it. I'm watching it by faith with my own eyes. I see what God is doing for me. And I see it juxtaposed to how other people that proclaim that they walk with Jesus, other people that don't walk with Jesus, but got healthy bodies, and they go out, they have the wherewithal to do far more than I should be able to do, but won't do it. They won't go to school. They won't read a book. They won't pray. They won't believe. They won't walk with the Lord. They won't accept the challenges. I'll never forget, many years ago, over 20, 30 years ago, a real prophet, a real man of God said to me, he said that you're going to break every generational curse. And he said, the reason why God chose you to do it, he says, because nobody else in your family had the tenacity, the fortitude, the wherewithal to do it. When he said that, I just jumped for joy and I ran and all that other stuff. Did not know that this was what he was talking about. Did not know that to understand that I was going to have to go through all this stuff, learning, writing books and all this stuff to understand how to break curses, how to understand ancestral issues when it deals with witchcraft and the bloodline and all the different things, monitoring spirits, familiar spirits, all that stuff. Didn't know that was all encompassing in God using me to deliver, to break it. I didn't know that. Nobody told me. The prophet didn't tell me that part. The prophet didn't, nor did the prophet tell me when he told me in 2003 that I was going to get into real estate and I was going to blow up. He didn't tell me that in a year after I got into real estate that I was going to lose everything. That wasn't in the prophecy. That wasn't in there. See, I'm here to help you. I'm one that I ain't gonna give you the razzle dazzle. I'm not giving you the sensationalism. I'm not going to give you all that and leave you. I'm giving you the walk. I'm going to show you, but this is how you walk this out. This is what that means. So now I ain't going to run when somebody tell me this. I listen very attentively because now I know what a lot of this stuff means. Okay. So anyway, I digress a little bit. I hope you could understand, get something out of a grace healing. It's a grace healing. And this is what Paul was talking about when he said that, when he wrote, God said that my grace is sufficient enough. It's enough. Because no matter what, the grace that is on my life right now, as long as this grace remains, you can't touch me. You can't touch me. Sickness can't touch me. The enemy can't touch me. None of it can touch me. Did it touch Paul? Did Paul finish his mission? Did he do what God wanted him to do, what he was called to do? Did he fulfill his purpose? Yes. Does that mean that the thorn didn't, whatever that thorn was that would keep him, grounded to earth, that he wouldn't be exalted above a measure, that he wouldn't be exalted, whatever that thorn was that grounded him? I don't know what that was, but whatever it was, God used it to keep him balanced. God is using this to keep me balanced. God used the limp to keep Jacob balanced. Every time Jacob would think about just the slightest bit of going back being a trickster, he said, I can't do it. Every time I think about going back being that person that I used to be, all I gotta do is look in the mirror. All I gotta do is look at myself. It's all over me. Every limp, the limp is every scar is all over me. And at any moment, God can take his hand off. And all of it, I could be absorbed by everything that the world. See, there's a lot of people out there that's got MS and they don't know God, and they in wheelchairs, they in bodysuits, they in all. I could easily go to that. Don't you know I know what's keeping me from that? Don't you know I know that I ain't supposed to be walking right now? I've been walking with this stuff for 22 years. Don't you think I know that? I am extremely aware and mindful. I know the enemy don't like me. I know the enemy want to take me out. I am not crazy. I give God all the glory. All the glory. Because I ain't nothing but, I am just a fingernail. And when I say I ain't talking about the length of one, I'm talking about the thickness of one, away from total disability and the grave. But with all that being said, you can be just the thickness of a fingernail away too, and you're not even aware of it. This is what I'm talking about. While men slept, and will not salute the Lord, will not say thank you, will not give gratitude to God, and just take advantage of all his goodness. And with all that, the stuff that's going on with me, I could have my medical book or record can be this thick by the time it's all said and done. And I'll mess around here and live 100 years old. And people that ain't never had nothing wrong with them, I go before I do. And I'm walking in victory all this time. And just walk and say, well, who was that? They passed. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm praying for the family. And they looking at me, well, he should have been dead by now, right? Yeah, should have. But God, grace. See, so for me, I boast not, but I boast because I know that I am strong because of my weakness. Read it. Read it in 2 Corinthians chapter number 12. Read it. That's what Paul was saying. He says, I'm strong because I'm weak, because I'm buffeted, I'm grounded. I know this ain't me. I don't have the means to go out and get cars and houses and all that kind of stuff. I don't have the strength to hammer or put frames up and decks, and I don't have that. But God, you're looking at a miracle. You're looking at a miracle, and yet you asleep on this book. But you'll read another book. You'll read a popularity book. You'll go to a popular church that God ain't even in. And you got a whole lot of people out here that God is in, but they ain't got no name. If you're going to study most of the prophets were not revered. People didn't like the prophets. They were not popular, but they made the canon. They made the canon. They made this right here. God honored them. And what God is doing in my life, he's honoring my life. He's honoring what I'm doing. Am I in lights? Not yet. Not yet. But I'm going to keep doing what God told me to do. And we'll see what the end going to be. I'll just leave it at that. My work ain't finished. I want you to be blessed. I want you to know that I love you. God loves you so much more. I want you to go in God. God will go with you. Go in his might, go in his power, go in his love, but most of all, go in his grace. Until we meet again, I'm Dr. Donnie Eatman. I am Face to Face Ministry.